These changes for the Montreal Canadiens are massive. Cole Caufield poised for a 50-goal season, and could Juraj Slafkovsky net 50-plus points in just his second season in the NHL? I'll discuss this and much more coming up on this episode of Hat-Trick HQ. I'm your host, Casey, and welcome back to Hat-Trick HQ. With that said, let's get right into the topic of this video, which is, this projected lineup is nasty. And yes, it's that time of the year where we're getting towards the end of the offseason and we can start to think up what the projected lineup for opening night will be in the NHL. And that's exactly what I've done here today. With my co-host Mark on vacation, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to discuss my thoughts on what the Montreal Canadiens lineup will look like on opening night. With that said, let's get right into the forward lines, which are my top line. I'll go down line by line here and just discuss them individually. I got Nick Suzuki centering. I got Cole Caufield on the left wing and Sean Monahan on the right wing. I know a lot of you guys might think, wow, Sean Monahan on the right wing, but I think this will benefit Cole Caufield and Nick Suzuki. I think having a veteran player on their line will just help their point production go up tremendously. I think it will help them develop as young players. Both of them coming off great signings. I think Cole Caufield and Nick Suzuki are just poised to have a breakout year. Not that they haven't before, but I just think this year is going to be their best year of their careers. Like I said, I think Cole Caufield is going to get 50 goals this season. I know a lot of you guys might say, you're insane. But I truly believe, I believed last season that he was going to get 50 goals, and he was on pace for 50 goals before he got injured. So I think this year we're going to see a Cole Caufield 50-goal season. You heard it here first. And with Nick Suzuki on that line, with such a great playmaker, I think it's going to be so easy for Caufield to get 50 goals. And also, Caufield is great on the power play unit. I just think there's no way that Caufield doesn't score 50. He's at least getting 40 at minimum. But I think it's a 50-goal season for Cole Caufield. And with Monahan on that line, with a playmaker like Suzuki, and with Suzuki and Caufield having so much chemistry, I think that Monahan will probably net 20 for the Habs this year. I truly believe, I know, if he's healthy all year, I think he will. I think taking him out of his natural role of center and putting him on the wing, I think is just a great add for the Habs, especially with the addition of Alex Newhook, who could take that center role, and then Monahan could kind of go on his own and try out the wing. Obviously, if it doesn't work, you can slot him back in there. I know Newhook can play the wing as well. Not saying that he would be on the top line, which you never know what could happen throughout the season. He could. But with that said, we'll get to our second line, which is Kirby Dach, Josh Anderson, and Juraj Slafkovsky. And yes, another young line of Kirby Dach and Juraj Slafkovsky with that big boy, Mr. Stonehands, Josh Anderson, as a lot of people like to call him in the Habs Nation. But I think this line is also a great line. I think, having Slafkovsky come back, you'd like to see him in that top six role. See how he does. Obviously, if he's not playing that well, you obviously can bump him down to the bottom six if need be. But I think with what we've seen during Slafkovsky during this offseason, I think his conditioning is just going to be awesome. I think he's going to play well. I think, this is a guy who just wants to improve his game. And I think we'll see a possibly 50-point season from Slafkovsky this year, depending on if he stays healthy and all this stuff. But I would love to see that. Number one overall pick, last year going out. But I think this year is Slafkovsky's year. I think he's going to have a great season this year. I think Kirby Dach's going to have a phenomenal season too. And when you got a goal scorer like Josh Anderson on that line, I think that line is just going to be a sneaky line that's going to come out there and is just going to get goals for you, for sure. And we're going to get into our third line here, which is Alex Newhook, new addition, with Brendan Gallagher and Mike Hoffman. And you might think, this is an interesting line. When I thought of this, when I was thinking about this, I think, wow, this could be a really interesting line for the Montreal Canadiens. You got the two veterans with Brendan Gallagher and Mike Hoffman on the wings, with the young center of Alex Newhook down the middle. And I think with Mike Hoffman, obviously, I think he may get traded at the deadline. Obviously, coming to the end of his contract this year. And with Brendan Gallagher, I really hope he's healthy this year. Brendan Gallagher has been one of my favorite Montreal Canadiens ever since I've been watching him. He's a guy who goes out there and puts his heart on the line, puts his body on the line. And but I just think this is going to be a great third line. Just to throw out there with Newhook, obviously, I think he's going to play very well this year. I think he's going to try to prove he's worth the money that Kent Hughes gave him and the Montreal Canadiens front office gave him this offseason. But I think this is a good line because Newhook is a great playmaker and he has a great goal scoring potential as well. But when you pair him up with Mike Hoffman and Brendan Gallagher, 2 league vets, I think this line isn't going to be stopped. And with that said, we'll get into our fourth line and our scratches. So we have Raphael Harvey-Pinard on the left wing with Jake Evans down the center and Yoel Armia on the right wing. As well, we have Michael Pezzetta and Christian Dvorak as our scratches right now. And when you look at this, I think Jake Evans, I think he has been my favorite Montreal Canadian ever since he's joined the team. I know you guys might think a fourth line center, your favorite player, but whenever this guy's on the ice, his forechecking ability is just crazy. He's always in the other zone on the forecheck, getting the puck, getting greasy in the corners, and he's a great forechecker. And I think Raphael Harvey-Pinard deserves to make the opening night lineup with what he did towards the end of the season. Obviously, we're going to have to see what happens coming out of training camp, but I think this could be a really good line, a really good fourth line. And obviously, Yoel Armia, he's proved himself in the past. Obviously, it has been a bit of a slump, but I think he's going to come back and have a good season this year. But obviously, I think the thing here, I think you could interchange Armia and Pezzetta. I think Pezzetta is a great fourth-line guy. He's a guy who goes out there, like I said, plays with his heart, puts his all on the ice, and lays the body. So I'd like to know what your guys' thoughts are on this forward pairings and what you guys think your forward pairings would be. I'd like to see them down in the comment section below. But I think with a forward pairing like this, I think the Montreal Canadiens are with forward lines like this, I think the Montreal Canadiens are very underrated this season. And they might not be a playoff team. They might not be a playoff contender. We'll have to see how it goes throughout the season. But this is going to be a fun team to watch this year, no matter what. When you got these young guys playing like this, playing at their potential all season long, hopefully everybody in the lineup can stay healthy. It's just going to be a great season of Montreal Canadiens hockey. And with that said, we'll get into the defensive pairings, which are I have as Mike Matheson and David Savard as my top pairing. I have Caden Gooley with Justin Barron and Jordan Harris with Arbor Jackeye. So with these defensive pairings, I think Mike Matheson and David Savard are going to complement each other very well. It kind of reminds me of the Edmondson Petrie days, I think. I think this line with David Savard, the big defensive guy, with Mike Matheson with the offensive ability he has and the playmaking ability he has, I think this pairing is going to be so underrated this season. I really do. I think this pairing is going to sweep a lot of people off their feet. I know David Savard is getting up there a little bit, but it's just such a great line, When like we see in the past with Petrie and Edmondson, like Petrie was just an offensive beast, and Edmondson could just shut down every play. And that's what we got here with Mike Matheson and David Savard. And we'll get into our second pairing. I'll bring it up again here, is Caden Gooley with Justin Barron. I know a lot of Habs fans are saying that Justin Barron probably won't make the opening night roster, but what I've seen in Justin Barron last year, I think he's a really consistent defenseman. He goes out there, he can shut down the plays, he passes the puck, he can make long stretch passes. I think it'd be a shame if he doesn't make the starting lineup opening night. I just think he's one of our best defensemen right now in our system. Obviously, we got a couple of young guys coming up who, in a couple of years, he might get bumped out of the lineup for. But right now, I think he's such a consistent defenseman. And we don't even need to talk about Caden Gooley. Caden Gooley had an amazing season last year, and obviously he deserves to be in the lineup opening night. And he's just a phenomenal defenseman, one of our greatest young defensemen we've got. I think if we can keep him, he's going to the future of the Habs decor is just phenomenal. And but a lot of people are saying that David Savard will bump down with Caden Gooley, and they'd move Justin Barron to the top line with Mike Matheson. But I like the David Savard and Matheson. Like I said, I think those two guys will complement each other really well. And I do believe Caden Gooley and Justin Barron will complement each other as well. As we get into our third defensive pairing, which is Jordan Harris and Arber Xhekaj, with the big question mark on David Reinbacher. But I know a lot of people don't have Arber Xhekaj in their projected lineup to start the season, but with what he did last season, like I said, it would be a shame for him not to be in the opening night roster. I think he goes out there, he's a guy who puts it all on the line. He lays the body, he blocks the shots, he does all the greasy stuff that you don't really see on the stat line. A lot of people just look at the points, but he does have a good shot from the point. A lot of people underrate his shot. I think Arber Xhekaj has a really great shot. I think he definitely deserves to be on the third pairing for sure. And the big question mark here is David Reinbacher. What's he going to be like coming out of training camp? Will he crack the roster? I honestly hope he does. Because if Montreal is in the position where maybe they're not going to make the playoffs or wherever they are throughout the season, I'd like to see David Reinbacher step up and get in the lineup throughout this season for sure. 100%, I would love to see that. And with that said, I'm going to get into our goalies right now, which are Jake Allen, Samuel Montembeault, and Cayden Primeau. And obviously, Jake Allen, he's not a starter. I'm just going to come out and say it. He's not a starter. He's a great backup. He's been a great backup. He's obviously had that starter potential back in the day. But right now, I think he's a great backup. But with that said, I still think he's going to be our starter this season. But if he starts to slump like he did last year, I think we'll see Samuel Montembeault take over the game. I do think that. I think Samuel Montembeault may be our starter halfway through the season. I think with Carey Price now back in the organization, kind of in that coaching role, I think it's going to help Samuel Montembeault's development tremendously. I think he's a young goalie. I think you got to give him the chance, especially when you don't really have that number one guy with Carey Price on long-term IR. The Montreal Canadiens goaltending situation has been up in the air for the last couple of seasons. And now we go to Cayden Primeau. And Cayden Primeau is a guy that if you want to send him down to Laval, he has to clear waivers. So this is a bit of a tricky situation for Montreal. I think if Cayden Primeau, I'm not a Cayden Primeau enjoyer. I'll just come out and say it. I think that Samuel Montembeault has shown that he has the potential to be a starter in the league. And like I said, I'd like to see Cayden Primeau get into the lineup this year. Obviously, they need to keep him up because if they try to send him down, he has to clear waivers. And I really don't think he's going to clear waivers if they do that, which is just a scary situation to be in for Montreal when you have this young goaltender now that you have as a healthy scratch every night, not getting developed down in the AHL. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think the Montreal Canadiens lineup will look like opening night? I'd like to see them down in the comments section below. And the one thing I really want to know is, what do you think of the goaltending situation right now? Because it's kind of up in the air. A lot of people are saying they want to see Samuel Montembeault and Cayden Primeau. A lot of people are saying they want to see Jake Allen, Samuel Montembeault. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this down in the comment section below. But with that said, I've been KC. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below. Keep your stick on the ice.